All right, chat. As promised, I am joined by two far more illustrious and far more knowledgeable people than I for this next run. James Picard 007 and ghostkumo.
Hello, it's me for the 5th time this week. And it will definitely be the last because there's only 2 runs left to go.
And I am here.
Oh no!
Speaking of legends, Zello, don't you have the audacity to come in chat and hype up other people? It is hyping up you day. Incredible showcase earlier. Phenomenal work. GG's.
I think Zello can do a little hyping, you know, as a treat.
Look, I'm done and dead. That's fair, man. It was very, very good.
I can't tell if the Archans are fighting or if they're making out.
And now they're gone, and we'll never know.
Love them. They're adorable either way.
No, I think we're having fun. We're having fun.
Yay! They're so cute.
I wish I had one.
For those of us in chat who, like me, know basically nothing about Ys except that people keep telling them they should play it at some point, what should we be prepared for?
Okay, so Ys Chronicles, or Ys 2 Chronicles, is a 2009 remake of a game made in like 1988 for like Japanese PCs. So while it does have some modernizations, it is a very old school style game from the era before action RPGs even commonly had action buttons. Back in the day, PC RPGs in Japan were infamously esoteric, very tricky, and difficult. And the developers for the original Ys game, which Ys 1 and 2 are often bundled together because they were made kind of to be like 2 halves of the same game, although Ys 2 is the significantly bigger half. There's a series that they said was made with love, which for the time, these games were a bit more forgiving than others, but as we'll see, they're still pretty mean at times. But yeah, this is a 2009 remake of a game from the late 80s. We'll get into stuff once the intro gets going. James is a runner of this game. I have dabbled in it, but never learned it in full, so...
all of my Ys familiarity is with the Ys 4 soundtrack, which is a banger.
That soundtrack is
excellent soundtrack.
The PC Engine soundtrack, PC Engine CD soundtrack for that game. Like, I didn't think video game music from 1993 could sound that big.
Yeah. They do so much with the limited tracking. It's very impressive.
So our runner today is Xipha, who's been just absolutely crushing it on Chronicles, Ys 1 and 2. Took the record in 1 and 2 away from Korzik, who basically has kind of had a monopoly on the records for these 2 games for a while. Very, very skilled runner, and ran Ys 1 at Summer, I believe. So, yeah, it was Summer. I was commentating that one as well. And now running the more elaborate sequel. So the game is done on easy just because that's the lowest difficulty. That really what it just comes down to is just you have to do less. There's a few things that are more difficult on higher difficulties, but like effectively running any % on easy this is the category we have to do the least amount. And incentive was met to show the intro cutscene. They had a full-blown FMV. I can't remember if they made one of these for there's Ys Chronicles, but there's also
we have Eternal here.
Yeah, there's Eternal and Complete, which there's Ys 1 and 2 have been ported to basically every system known to man.
It's kind of Doom-like, if not quite as excessive. We still don't have it on TI at 83.
Well, yeah. I mean, people don't extraneously port these games, but they do. It has about as much cosmopolitan distribution as Dragon Quest 1 and 2 and Final Fantasy 1 and 2 amongst RPGs. They've just been put on like everything. God, I love these soundtracks.
Go for it.
I was gonna just start introducing this, like, kind of the story, but I'll leave you to it.
Well, the story here is 2 takes place immediately after Ys 1. We climbed the Darm Tower. We beat Dark Fact, and we got back our lost library books. And having got all of them and read them, Adol has been transported to the actual land of Ys, which is about the only time we actually are in the namesake of the series. And as you might have seen here, he's landed in the arms of a girl, as he is wont to do.
A girl with some impressive 1990s anime eyes. My goodness.
Yep.
That was like 3/4 of her face. No pupil.
I don't know if this was quite at that era or if he'd left by then, but like, fun fact about like very late 90s, very early 2000s Falcom games, a lot of the cinematics, and to this day, the animation for their logo that like shows at the start of any time you open up a Falcom game was done by Makoto Shinkai, famous for being the director for the movie Your Name, which is like one of the highest grossing anime films of all time and one of the highest grossing films in Japan. So he worked for Falcom for a span as one of their animators.
Yeah, confirmed. He did the storyboarding at least for Ys 2's opening, like the one we are actively watching.
Yep.
Interesting. Wow, so he's been making bangers for a while now.
Or some time.
There's a lot of people who got their start at like Falcom. The entirety of Quintet was like former Falcom employees. The team that made the Lunar series started like, or one of the team Alex, which co-worked with Game Arts, like they were originally Falcom. Yuzo Koshiro, the esteemed composer of later titles like Etern Odyssey and Streets of Rage. He's the one who actually composed these games. The original PC-88 soundtrack, which you can still select in this particular version, like his compositions are in here. Anyways, start of the game, we're back to level 1.
Got absolutely no equipment. Still got our library books, though.
Yep. So we met with this girl by the name of Lilith. Lilia. For some reason I read that as Lilith. It was like, no, it's Lilia.
Romanized as Lilia.
Yeah, it's Lilia. I misread the katakana earlier. She's not particularly useful. She's just kind of somebody you follow in this game. There's definitely some weird components to the story of this game. While Ys 1 is like on the overworld and a lot of things have gone wrong there, here we are in the floating land of Ys, which is supposed to be like peaceful and nice, but of course it's not.
So basically what's going on here is apparently Lilia is very sick and her mother asked us to see the doctor. Well, the doctor's kind of trapped in some nearby mines right now, and guess who's got to go find him?
So we haven't introduced this red-haired fellow that much. This is Adol Kristen. He's the series protagonist. He fights everything with a sword. He hasn't quite defined his legacy in the series just yet, but he is he's kind of known as a wanderer. He just enjoys adventure for the thrill of the game. But he kind of just finds himself in these situations all the time. And he's a silent protagonist, doesn't really say or contribute much. He eventually does get like a little bit more personality in the later games. Something worth noting is that the Ys games kind of exist out of chronology. Like the next game in the chronology is 10, and then 4, then 3, then 5,
then 8, then 6,
and 7, something like that. So we haven't actually touched on the combat yet. So this game is a bump attack system, like I mentioned in the before the run. You don't actually you don't actually have an you don't have an attack button, at least not in this version. There's one version that does. It's kind of bad. You have what's called bump attack, where you ram into enemies and you need to run into them like kind of in the like off center, like at their shoulder basically, to do damage. If you run head on, they inflict damage on you and you will not get knocked back. Doing some grinding here to get some levels. This is like kind of required in this game. Unlike East 1, where you have a level cap of 10 that you will certainly meet by the end of the game, and like you get a ton of stats every level, this game the levels go up to I believe 60 or 50.
Closer to 60.
Right. I'm okay. I'm misremembering the math.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, you get 5 every level. Rather than like I want to say like 35. Like yeah, you get a lot less stats per level, so you have to do a lot more combat in this game.
Mm-hmm.
でこのイースの方を返却することでですね、過去にイースの国を治めていた6神官。
Yeah, so right now what we're trying to do is we're basically trying to get to level 6 in the immediate, and as you can see there, we found a statue where we gave up one of our library books. So we're going to be hunting for those while we're kind of in this underground sanctuary.
700年前の世界を描いたイースオリジンというゲームのとあるプレイヤブルキャラから取られていまして。
I hear enough of Nori talking in the background. So this area's name is Sanctuary Toll. That is a name that becomes a lot more relevant if you play East Origin, which is I believe it is to this day the best-selling game in this series in the West. But East Origin is a prequel to 1 and 2, and kind of they serve as like a complete trilogy. There's a lot of references between them. So here you get to just enough level that you can actually take out one of these statues and get to this staff here.
I believe it's called the Rod of Divinity in English translation.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what that does is we can now, not quite yet, but it enables us to use, whenever we get some spells, magic.
Yeah, so you now see that there's an MP bar underneath Adol's health bar.
それではここからクレア先生を助けるために本格的にラスティーニ廃校の探索を行っていきます。
Yes. See somebody mentioned in chat, EXP values vary between versions. This game has so many versions, and a lot of them were developed by different people. Like, Falcom themselves have, I think, only made like 3 of the versions of this, or no, they made 4, which would be like the Eternal, Complete, Chronicles, and the original. But it got ported to a few different platforms under different developers. East 1, I think, got more variations though. But there's a lot of like old collections with this series. And yeah, this, as mentioned, just because we're in a little bit of downtime, 7 is spelt, the E7 is spelt with the word 7, but every other game uses Roman numerals. So here we get a Matic. Kind of a lot of this run involves just like getting the right things that you need to advance the game, and just learning how each dungeon is laid out, because it can be a little tricky. But yeah, the Matic here, or pick, I guess, the mining pickaxe, to create a hole there.
Mm-hmm. Now, something you may not realize there is that normally there is a cutscene there after you unlock that, because we actually just freed our doctor friend. But if you approach that rock pile at a diagonal, for some reason it won't trigger that cutscene, but it'll still free our friend.
Yeah, East 1 and 2, Chronicles anyways, are pretty low on glitches. There is one like major time save in this version, which is the time attack glitch that skips a lot of the run, but it's kind of it involves using an extraneous mode of the game, so it's kind of not like something you do from the game. It's like the game story itself. For the most part, there aren't really that many glitches in these games or like skips, so we kind of just take whatever we get. Actually, I'm kind of curious. Do you still use items when you approach chests in this run?
No, because I think the only time in one we use the item glitch is when we went to wing out, and as far as this game goes, we only wing once.
Makes sense.
And as you know, the only other fast travel involves bringing up a menu, which will show here sooner than later once we get that bell. But as you can see now, we have fire magic. So Xipha-san's going to be using that to help destroy our enemies. And right now we're just kind of grinding up before we head our first boss.
Yeah, so the way magic kind of works in this game is when you use magic, you like drain your meter, but it replenishes. However, the more you use it, the less it replenishes back up. So you'll see it says 61 out of 75. That means the most that it will recover to is 61, meaning that like is Fireball 10 or 20?
I do not remember off the top of my head.
I mean, yeah, so it imposes the limitations on how many consecutive uses he can have, as well as eventually he'll just run out and be unable to use it. Annoying thing is, unlike in East 1 where you ram into bosses using the bump system, a lot of bosses in this game require you to actually hit them with fire magic. In this case, charging up a lot of fireballs and taking them out.
And another thing is, like, as you can see, we can also charge up the fire magic, so that also affects usage cost.
Correct.
And here we just picked up a piece of iron ore. Might come in handy. And here we have a, well, do we want to say Celceta flower? Is that how they pronounce it? I can never.
Yeah, Celceta flower. That name comes up because there's a region in the game called Celceta, but like that tends to just happen in this series. There's a few regions that they've mentioned in the various aspects of the lore of these games that have never even gone to in the story. But yeah, it's normally stuff with Celceta has to do with like healing stuff. Like there's a Celceta Panacea will either be like a full heal item, or it'll be in East Origins case a thing that raises your max HP. But yeah, pulling out the warp here and warping back to Rant's village.
And here we're going to be selling off that thing of iron ore, which gets us enough money that we can pick up a Tower sword, which is the best we can get right now.
Yeah, armor is nice to have for the sake of not dying, but generally weapons are the most important aspect, because in theory you can dodge most things in this game, but you need to hit things in order to proceed. So naturally offense kind of trumps defense in these runs, especially on the easy difficulty, which is a little more forgiving with how much damage you're allowed to take.
And in picking up we didn't mention earlier, but we initially got a Rotafruit when we were doing grinding in ruins, and with that Celceta flower, we already got the stuff we need to make the medicine for Lilia here. Which, you know, apparently she's just now finding out she's sick.
That's a mood.
Like, it's kind of funny, like she finds out she is sick, but then like, oh yeah, I've always known I was sick. So it's a little strange. I'm not sure if that's like a translation error or that's in the original text, but there you go.
RPG plots in 1988 were inconsistent at best.
Yeah, indeed. So at this point, we have returned 5 of our library books, and we've got a 6th one we need to deposit, but we're not sure where. So we're going to check out this guy's basement, because apparently he's been hearing monsters downstairs.
先ほど廃校で手に入れた邪悪な
This room has some interesting cheese in certain versions of this game.
壁の中から大量の敵が現れます。
And here,
Yeah,
we're gonna make this
この魔物を
safety
全
save.
滅させる
Go ahead.
これが本当に
I was
難
gonna
しい
say,
です。
yeah, you just have a ton of monsters you gotta rush through.
多いので囲まれて
Yeah, this is one of the more dangerous spots just because, as you can see, you got a lot of monsters. They do have attack animations, and they can just come up behind you, side you, and yeah, just like that.
Yeah, this room, just because of the volume of monsters and the relative strength that they have, is like pretty solid for getting levels at this point in the game. Cutting it close there down to 17 HP.
Oh,
so
yeah,
you
it's-
need to be careful. That's why there's a safety save. Good thing is you can save anywhere in this game, at least in this version.
And it does look like they're infinitely respawning, but they aren't. They will eventually tire out. Which, yay, we lived.
一発撃破、これはすごいです。ここ本当に難しいです。で、地下室の奥にはですね、聖域がありまして、ここで最後
Yeah,
の
so these 6 books were all required for the end of East 1. So we're just kind of, I think, restoring them.
でちなみに今までイースの本を返却する
Yeah, they were each written by a priest, and we returned them to the statues of their respective
とに
priests.
かくサルモン神殿という
This one right here being Priest Fact.
そこにたどり着くまでに2つのダンジョン
Which,
を超える必要
Kind of awkward if you played Origin.
Yeah, so, I mean, the Fact's name is kind of tied to many good and evil figures across these first few games. Like, several of the main characters of Origin have that name. They're supposed to be like this household within the Land of East, but multiple of them have gone bad over the years. So
まあちょっといつもより遅いなとは思ってたんですけど
ちょっとあそこがちょっと心残りかなといったところなんですけど、この先一つ先のマップですね、バーンドブレスというところがある。
And here we have a little cutscene with our good friend Dallas, Texas.
気温の
yeah,
数
so this is Dallas. He is
やっていこうかなと思います。
effectively the main bad guy of this game. He's kind of got his eye on us, so we're getting that cutscene of like the big bad is noticing somebody who is going to become a threat to him later.
さあということで2つ目のダンジョンノルティア標識
And here we are in the Ice Ridge of Noltea, which has a banging
このダンジョ
soundtrack.
ンなんですが先ほどの廃校とは打って
I
変わ
recently played East versus Trails, and they have a stage based on this area. It's especially annoying because it has like go out the left exit and emerge on the right exit type of door.
Nice.
BGM が素晴らしいですね
神ですねこれ。
で今回E2なんですけどオプションで BGM のタイプを選べまして PC88 版オリジナル版クロニクルズ版の3種類から選ぶことができるんですが、夏の RTA in Japan でね E1 走った時 PC88 版でプレイされていたので、じゃあ今回はオリジナルでいこうかということで今回はオリジナル版を採用させていただいております、なんですけどちょっと個人的にはこのノルティア氷壁という BGM クロニクルズ版をちょっと強く推したいんですよね。本当に素晴らしい曲になっているので
Using the items to create a bridge to get across.
Yeah, Frost Bulb, I think it is. I don't remember the name exactly, but made a nice little ice bridge there. We can get across the chasm.
ザイファさんも確かここが一番好きなんでしたっけ
Yeah, so despite this being an RPG, as you can see with the estimate at 115, it is still a relatively short game. East 2, like East 1, has a similar deal where the final dungeon is like the last 40 to 50% of the game. So, although in that case you can actually leave it, which is kind of nice. You couldn't in East 1. But yeah, it's a relatively condensed game. I believe there's only like 4 main areas, but they can be quite meaty for the time. So getting the telepathy rod next. And yeah, Fireball is kind of even more busted now because it can lock, like it kind of like auto locks onto targets.
There we just got a little herb. We're saving it up for later. And now some stone shoes.
Yeah, these let you walk on ice because there are some slopes that you needed. Also, we can turn into a cute little demon now by the name of a Rue. They're very cute. Adult can turn into a Rue in at least a couple games. And they're interesting because they actually allow you to converse with, like, demon creatures.
I mean, if you actually turn into a Rue, you can actually approach most common monsters, and you will get dialogue from most of them.
街の人に全て話しかけてからストーリーを先に進めるという、通称マラソンと呼ばれてるんですけど、これをするのが本当に楽しいんですけど、石の靴を装備して忘れていた。この E2 のね魔物との会話も同じような面白さを感じますということで、解説めちゃくちゃ遅れたんですが、石の靴というアイテムを入手し
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, because of the amount of EXP that you actually need if you're going to want to stand a chance at endgame. You see Xipha's doing a lot of just incidental combat. Will either be like knowing enemies are coming up and thus will fire off a magnetic fireball, or just ram down any enemies that he comes across. Really wants to get as much EXP as reasonably possible to minimize the amount of time needed for levels, or needed to spend to get levels later.
Yeah, at this point, I'm not sure if he's going to hard go for it, but definitely will let like 20 for the next boss we're doing. Which we're not too far off, we should be able to get it.
When I say levels are necessary, I mean the damage formula of East games up until about 7, honestly, maybe even after 7, is really kooky. You can get into fights where you just are not able to do any damage whatsoever if you don't have enough like strength / weapon damage.
Yeah, that's why we had to get to level 6 earlier, because if we did not, we would not be able to get past those stone guardians blocking the Rod of Divinity.
このマップで先ほど手に入れた幻影の鏡を使用することで真実の扉が開かれます。さあ、ここでノルティア氷壁のボスティアルマス。
So you did get to level 20 just in time. Here we have a boss that doesn't appear in East Origin. Most of the bosses in this game get reprised in East Origin.
I always say that this guy's a loner from Blaster Master for some reason.
まさか一回も飛んだ。本当はですね、こうぴょんぴょん飛び跳ねてきて着地したらこの地面からつららを発生する
Very nice kill.
Very nice.
1回しか飛ばないという、これ多分本当に
Alright, now you see equip the evil bell,
応援しております。
because we're going to be using that for evil purposes here shortly.
次のダンジョンバーンドブレスです。さあ入り口に入る
Adult's sensing something off about this area.
And we popped in there real quick because we're doing that to get a teleport point, because we're going to be coming back here shortly.
基本的にザコは倒しながら進んでいくんですが、ここら辺からね若干敵が
And it's strange you can't actually get in there until you ring that evil bell.
アドル君溶岩の村という村に着くんで
But
す。
that's event triggers for you.
But you can see that there's a Rue there. There's like a whole like section of them. So right behind the icy area, we get the volcano area. So this is Burned Bliss. It's actually kind of less annoying, but there's some really annoying parts of this area.
Like these guys do not care for scorpions.
So we have mentioned combat with this game. You want to run into things kind of like off-center, but also if you're able to pin them against the wall, you can also just keep it going. On top of that, if you hit, I believe if you hit something from behind, you're able to keep it locked. And I don't quite know the specific mechanisms behind it, but you also have if you're playing on a controller, you have a joystick which allows you to do angles of approach that aren't possible with just eight directions. So, like, that can be useful in certain scenarios, although like, if you're not trained with it, you can do more harm than good.
こうすることで相手がアドルだと分かっていないので、この村の現状を聞き出すことができるんですね。 その後人間の姿に戻ってもう一度話しかけることで、アドル君魔物に連れ去ら
So
れ
here we are at the colony of lava, because the city names in this era were not the not the most fancy.
ついでにねルバさんから
So this guy is guarding a bridge there, a wooden bridge over a moat of lava. He's not letting us pass because Dallas doesn't want us to get through, but he actually secretly sympathizes with us. But his son has been kidnapped, so he can't do anything until Tarf is safe.
のアイテムです。
So that hence we made the warp point to the nest of Rue.
ルーの住処にワープして
Because here we're picking up a leaf and another root of fruit.
でこの先にですね毒ガスが充満しているフロアがありまして、通ることができないんですけど、このロダの葉を使用することで通ることができるようになります。
The fruit we want because that's just good as a backup MP restoration. It'll basically give us full MP whenever we munch on it. And then the leaf we're going to be using for one room here pretty shortly.
さあここでちょっと硬い敵が2体いるのでうまく
Screw these armadillo guys. They are a pain in the butt.
大丈夫ですね。そしたらこのマップの黄色いこのトカゲのような敵を倒して稼ぐんですけど、このマップ結構四方八方から敵がやってくるのでうまく立ち回らないと被弾してしまうリスクが高い。ちょっと食らっちゃったな。ですが気をつけていきましょう。
あ、やべ。
Yeah,
Here we're going to use.
そうしやすい。
Go ahead. Oh,
I was going-
you.
Yeah. Basically, we're using the leaf here real quick because we're using it as a filter for that poisonous gas.
安定を取ってセーブしながら進んでいきます。
You'll see him a lot of optimizing this game is just kind of combining, interspersing your fire magic attacks with charging into things. So here's the Black Pearl, Pirates of the Caribbean Be Damned. This was where it came from. It is a very powerful relic, and kind of just serves as like one of the plot MacGuffins of this game. Dallas definitely really wants it.
ちょっとこの敵硬いので手間取るんですけど大丈夫かな。いけましたね。そしたらこのマップに着いたらささやきの耳飾りを装備した状態
And here we equip the earrings we were given earlier because they help us listen very well. And we are actually now talking to Tarf, who is imprisoned. And he's got a buddy with him named Keith. And Keith would like to hold on to that black pearl for a second. Because he's going to get us. We're going to do a breakout.
はい、壁を壊してもらいます。
Dogi, eat your heart out.
その後ね、
Dogi! And there goes Keith.
Sir not appearing in this game until
さあそし
like
たら
very
ここ
late.
からタルフ君の護衛イベントですね。溶岩の村まで
It is kind of funny how often in like early East games you just get stuck in something and then Dogi busts you out.
And here we have the young lad Tarf, who we must escort back home.
So a lot of these escort sections need to make sure that he does not die is the number one thing. Number two, to try and go fast, you want to always be ahead of him as much as possible.
倒せてなかった。
Nope. That was unfortunate. Yeah.
That was unfortunate, but unfortunately, Tarf is a child and takes damage as a child. You should have really used that cactus.
So you want to keep ahead of him so that he's always moving forward as much as possible. But also want to make sure that you never get too far away from him.
あのさ、
Oh,
運が悪いですね。ちょっと噛み合いが悪いです。
Yeah, those armadillos are very unfortunate just because, as you might assume, they're just. Ooh, that's
なんですが
unfortunate.
今度は自分がやられてしまう。
dang.
やりすぎじゃない？
Yeah, usually getting out of that hole is usually the hardest part just because that scorpion does sometimes like to come up from behind and
の魔物が
you're just kind of in trouble no matter how you go about it.
怖え。
Yeah, this particular section is like honestly worse than any of the escorts in East 1.
Mm-hmm. Now, it wouldn't be so bad because, funnily enough, yes, you could actually level up Tarf. He does have an attack, but unfortunately, that's not expedient. So,
生きてたとしても問答無用でゲームオーバーになってしまうので、本当にね、事故起きやすいポイン
So
トなん
waiting
で
for him to get just close enough to the loading zone that entering the new loading zone will automatically warp him inside.
倒せば OK ですね。
yeah, basically at this point, we're pretty safe. So, we're just kind of waiting for the young lad to come along.
うまく誘導しながら進んでいきます。まあ、ちょっと下っちゃったんですが、これで護衛イベント終了ですね。さあ護衛イベント終わったことで橋を下ろしてもらえるようになるので先に進んでいきます。
And now, with Tarf reunited with his father, we can lower that bridge over the boiling hot lava that will somehow not cause it to snap from the convection, because, you know, what is convection in a video game?
Hey, lava is just red Kool-Aid. It is funny, like, there's, like, because... I mean, if you've ever been within like 20 feet of a fire, like if you get like anywhere near a fire, you can usually feel it relatively close. Now imagine that like 10 times hotter. Like lava will just like you literally cannot be within like the same general vicinity of lava because it just screws up the air. But that's not how it's depicted in fiction. Like I think one of my favorites is in the Pokemon Adventures manga where one of the protagonists is literally surfing on lava.
You know, physics are just a suggestion.
Especially in shonen. Who cares? It's cool.
Indeed.
さあちょっと HP が削られすぎてしまっているのでボス戦不安なんですが大丈夫かな。
So, have you ever wondered how to get ahead in life?
Oh god.
さあバーンドブレスのボスゲラルディ戦です。
So here we've got Galaldi,
などを使ってうまく誘導し
very lovely creature.
口を開けて触手を出す
Yeah, so he spits out like a giant snake.
触手を出すとき口を大
Kind
き
of
く
a
開けて
disgusting looking boss, content advisory. But yeah, once he opens his mouth to let it back in or to spit it out, his weak point is exposed, and that's how you deal damage.
叩き込むことでダメージを与えていきます。
Very nice kill. Or no, that was the first health bar. I'm dumb.
まあ今まで
Yeah, unfortunately, we're double dipping now.
なので集中力を切らさないように一発被弾してしまったのであと一発でやられてしまうので
There's Xipha's just shooting little shots just to keep him edged out. That way he's got more room to get in here and attack for while his mouth is open.
さあゲラルティですねある程度ダメージを与えると口から触手
He
を
does have to be careful because his HP is down to a measly 13, so
召喚してくるかな
yeah, his shots aren't doing damage, but they are allowing him to manipulate Galaldi's position.
ゲラルティにダメージを与えることができないので
And there was our little friend Bob, who was out temporarily to
ここが結構
to take some shots for Galaldi. But unfortunately, Bob had to go other places.
出ないかなまあ一番早いパターンだと次に触手をしまうときに倒すことができるんですけど多分もう一旦かかっちゃいそうですねこれは。さあ食らわないようにうまく誘導してこの誘導もね移動方法ミスってしまうと触手に囲まれてもうどうしようもなくなってしまうので気をつけて誘
It's
導して
quite a time-consuming fight just because of how little of a window you really have to actually get the fireballs.
Fireballs in, and
さあここの誘導ミスらないように
to some degree, you know, while we can do damage, we're slightly lower than expected to
大丈夫か
be
な
doing this fight, so that does
は
not
い見
help
事
at
撃
all.
破です
Because I think normally it's suggested to be like a
本当に戦闘時間
level
長いの
30.
でまあどこかで事故ってしがいがちなボスなんですけどまあ一発撃破ということでさすがです
So using the boss, when you beat a boss, you get back to full health, so that allows him to not have to worry about healing too often.
さあラミアの村に着い
A lot
た
of
ら
it
ま
is
ず
just calculated.
によって
And off to Ramia Village, the final like town of the game.
And here we're going to purchase our final sword purchase, the hyper cutter.
Just kind of funny seeing the names in all caps English.
早速行こうとするんですけど、門番のゴートさんに止められてしまいます。一度ですね、この
And here we're going to sit down and have a conversation with Gordo, the gatekeeper,
今からハダトさんに話を聞きに行くんですけど、どうやらハダトさんの息子の
who is going to have a very lovely flashback.
するんですけど、この人ですね、この
One thing that's worth noting is actually, I believe the Japanese version just is faster on text. Not by like a ton, but it is something. So it's
連れ去られてしまったんですね。
convenient that that's the version that the runner has access to.
Yeah, I do believe the Japanese text is marginally faster than English.
ということで、早速今からサルモン神殿に向かうんですけど、この先でです
You know, because definitely got a 115 as opposed to the. I mean, I will grant that I am not the best runner, but you know, as opposed to my 120s.
人間の状態だと中に入ることができないんですね。
I believe Korzik runs on Japanese as well.
Yeah.
Also haven't shouted them out to this point, but the couch commentator Nori is also a seasoned veteran of just kind of several different East games. Currently has the third place time in this game, being the third to cut the 1 minute or the 1 hour 10-minute barrier. So now we can finally break through into Solomon Shrine, the final area dungeon of the game.
We're in the Shrine of Salmon.
Yeah, so quickly switch. So there's two guards that won't let you through if you're Adel, but you can quickly switch to a Rue, and then they'll let you through, and then you quickly switch back, and they're like, we've been fooled again and again. Solomon Shrine stinks. There is no map for this place. This is the kind of like dungeon from this area that like you're probably better off just hand drawing your own map. Also, anyone who's played East Origin and not this game, if you listen closely, you can hear the theme to the tune of the leitmotif of Solomon Shrine actually appears in a couple of tracks in East Origin's soundtrack. All of these games have fantastic soundtracks, by the way.
回でもミスってしまうと、結局長い会話イベント再生されてしまうので、タイム短縮をするためには全て成功させる必要があります。この先ですね、サルモン神殿に入り直すときは毎回注目ポイントになります。
So here we go transforming again because we're convincing the monsters here we're going to help take care of their adult problem, you know, I guess.
今このサルモン神殿なんですが、これもね他のダンジョンと同じ迷いやすいです。ここ初見プレイ、プレイされたことがある人ならわかると思うんですけど、初見プレイの時は
definitely one of those like suspension of disbelief like kind of things of how you transform because of how the game mechanics work, even though it's like I'm in the same room, how did they not notice me?
間違えちゃうぐらいなんで気をつけて進んでいきましょう。
Demons aren't paid enough to think.
Yeah, more or less this is like the end game of the rest of the run. So Guardkeeper lets you in, you immediately turn around and kill him.
Well, that Guardkeeper, not the ones out front. We're going to leave them alone.
テレパシーの魔法を使用した状態でささやきの耳飾りを装備して盗み聞きします。
The enemies in this area are actually worth quite a lot of experience, so yeah, naturally it pays to take him out.
Yeah, because we do need to gain levels for the end game.
So this right here is Zava. It's like right-hand woman of Dallas and very powerful sorceress. So quickly warping out to Remia Village and then entering the dungeon again.
Because we're heading off to a different section because from that conversation we learned a password to get in slightly deeper.
魔物がさらってきた人々がですね、脱走してしまったようで、どうやらこのサルモン神殿の近く
And you do have to listen to that conversation, otherwise the proper password won't come up if you saw that brief dialogue option.
それを使用して門を開けてもらって先に進んでいきます。
So unfortunately you can't just guess.
倒しながら進むんですが、この先にいる赤い雑魚は体力が高いので無視して進んでいきます。さてこの部屋に着いたらライトの魔法を使用するとなぜ
Now here we're going to use a magic that we got back all the way in the caves of Rastini, the light magic, which you need to make the cup of Dabby appear, which we're going to need for a bit later.
最初で最後の活躍をしてもらいます。さあそしたら一旦来た道を戻ってこの下の部屋に入ります。さあここで魔物のリーダー格である
Oh no, it's Dallas.
ちょいちょいイベントに移っていたキャラクターですね。で今なら見逃してやるからここから立ち去れと言われるんですけど、無視して進もうとすると呪いをかけられて
So now he's turned us, forced us into the state of being a demonic roux, which means that now that we can't fight back, because we are a little animal beastie thingy.
Yeah, we cannot transform in this state, despite having a rod transformation. Sorry, go ahead.
So we can't ram into things for combat, but we do still have the fire rod. Or, sorry, we can still ram into things, but it is a severe downgrade, at least by story purposes. But yeah, fire magic's still very potent. Also, anything that sees us in this state is going to think that we're a demon, so we can't, like, enter into that particular area. There's like a bodyguard protecting the people who have hidden away in the canal.
Oh, by the way, there's people hiding in the canal. No.
Yeah, so that should, I believe that was for a fast travel point.
Yes, once you like get into that arch, you get a fast travel for that location. You might have seen it briefly when the teleport menu popped up. And here, I forget this gentleman's name, but he's telling us that if we get some pure water and use it with a cup of Dabby, it will remove most curses, which, hey, might work for us. It did work for us.
The name says Ragu. I don't quite know what that is in English.
I think they call him Reg.
Okay, they do change the names around a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you see, he's called Tarf in the English version, but the text on screen would say Tolf. Partly because the RL kind of phenomenon with Japanese, those two being homologous.
Assault by Lilia.
実はですね、アドル君に病気を治してもらったことで、ちょっと気を持ってしまったのかどうかですね。
Oh, there's Dallas
アドル君の後を追いかけてきてしまったみたいなんですね。その途中で魔物に捕まってしまった。
And he's turned everyone to stone.
ちょっと恋や盲目と言うんですけど、少女がその身一つで後を追いかけてくるというのは行動力が凄ましいですね。そしたら、ちょっともん抜け決めました。素晴らしい。さあちょっと解説遅れちゃったんですけど、このリリアさんです。
So as you saw there, Lilia gave us a key, and we're going to use that to get into another section of the subterranean canal.
その後、ダレスさんがね現れるんですね。どうやらアドル君の後をこっそりつけていたようで、それで脱走者たちをですね石の姿に変えてしまいます。でその石にされてしまった人々を助けるためにサルモン神殿をさらに探索していきます。でちなみに当初の予定だったハダトさんの息子のサダさんと婚約者のマリアさんはですね、
Yeah.
先ほどの石にされてしまった
It's funny every time I see it. So,
を探す同時に2人の捜索も行う。
apologies for the
さあそれではここで
possibly bad language on the layout. So, yeah, you can kind of see it in the fact room. Fact is in Japanese it's fakuto, which is they romanize it as something very similar to a very bad word in English. It's just kind of a fun little thing that's just like an accident of language. In like dark fact in East 1 is like dark, I'll just say fooked.
Oh, Roman.
Skirting around what's on the screen here. I won't get into that. But anyways, here we're finally just going through an extended grind session to get levels.
マップを切り替えたらす
So
ぐ
if you need to step away, stretch or something, you've got a minute here because we're going to be here for a minute.
さてまあレベリング終わるまでまだ結構時間かかるんで、じゃあ RTA で使ってるちょっとしたテクニックについてでもお話ししようと思います。実はこの稼ぎ中にもですね、タイム
Kind of a shame it keeps looping the music too, because Subterranean Canal is honestly, if you ask me, one of the better tracks I think Yuzo Koshiro ever contributed to this series.
一瞬硬直時間が発生し
Very
てしま
catchy.
うという仕様があります。でその硬直時間を消すためにエリアチェンジ上入力を押してエリアチェンジをした瞬間にスティックをニュートラルに戻す。でその後一瞬だけスティックを下入力してまた上に入力し直すという操作を行うことでエリアチェンジする時の硬直時間を消すことができるんですね。で1回1回の短縮時間は本当にわずかなものなんですけど、このようにかなりの回数出入りするのでゲーム全体で見るとバカにできない時間を短縮できます。でゲームの最初のダンジョンで訪れたラスティー
Unlike later games in the series, enemies in this game, and East 1, they give a flat amount of EXP, basically no matter what level you are. Later on, they kind of adjust it to where the higher level you are, the less you get, which can end up meaning you'll get to a point in the game where enemies will only give 1 EXP. To counter this, though, one of the interesting things that they would often do is like increase the amount of EXP you get per thing that you hit. So you're picking up the blue pendant.
さあ、門抜けが来ます。果たして決ま
Guess
る
we're
か
going to head off to the next boss.
決まっ
Forget exactly what it does for this particular game.
We're going to use it shortly afterwards because it's part of a teleport system here in the shrine.
ボス戦のドルガ
These doors usually signal a boss. Here's Drugar, the spider. Quite an annoying boss. You have to hit like directly on its face.
一旦上に避難。敵が撃ってくる弾幕を避けたら鷹の彫像のホーミング機
You
能
really want to take care of these eggs because they'll start flooding the screen with projectiles.
ゴリ押し体勢入る。いけるか
Now, there's a hair reason I like to call this these two kind of a micro shmup.
本当はですね、左で攻撃した後
Thankfully, at this point, he's so strong he's able to kill the boss pretty quickly.
王道パターンなんですけど、HP 残ってると今のようにゴリ押しする戦法を取れるんですけど、一発被弾した状態で突っ込むのはもう心臓に毛が生えてますね。すごいです。
But yeah, that silver pendant, when we equipped it and touched that goddess statue, it brought us to another section of the
溜めていないファイヤーのダメージが同じなんですね。
the Residence East
ファイ
Wing.
ヤーを連射するのが一番ダメージが出ます。いや今の本当すごかったですね。行かないと思ったんですけど攻めましたね。さあこの階段の下降りた先バトルシールドという防具があるんですけど、なんとザイファさん無視して先に進んでいきます。もちろん寄り道することで、この先安定するんですけど、このバトルシールドを取るまでに30秒ぐらいかかっちゃうので、ザイファさん取らずに進む攻めチャート採用してますね。ちょっと
That's interesting. He seems to be, maybe I'll pick it up later, but doesn't seem to be getting the battle shield for now. Oh, this is Keith. Say hi, Keith, everyone.
So he was... I forget the lore if he was transformed into a monster or if he always was a monster. I think he was transformed into a monster.
Transformed.
But yeah, he speaks human language and is not hostile.
味方側のキャラクターになります。本当は人なんですけどね。さあ脱走者たちの隠れ家にワープしたら早速手に入れた水路調節室の鍵を利用
In case, yeah, as kind of alluded in chat, this is a very big dungeon, so a lot of people get lost, and I think even many runners get lost. I think at this point, Xipha's just put in so much work into remembering every turn that you need to make.
Yeah, it definitely becomes secondhand after you do it so many times.
ここでバトルアーマーを入手します。こちら本
So
作
lowered the water level and picked up the battle armor.
防具はこれが
Because
最
we've not had armor like this entire run.
もう一段階上の防具あるんですけど、取らないですね。なんなら盾についてはザイファさん攻めチャート採用しているので最後まで何も装備せずにクリアします。これね、本番で安定取るために まあ盾取るのはどうなんですかって言ったんですけど、まあ、攻めチャートでいくということで見せてほしいですね、この先。
And here we're going to pick up the battle sword because,
さあこの先
hey,
バトルソードに
free better sword.
そしたらまとめて装備します。
As always, damage is king, and save the menu to equip the armor,
を進んでいきまして
or when you picked up the sword, just to minimize menuing.
Then you didn't pick up the battle shield though.
はやぶさの彫像を入手します。
But hey,
これ装備することで
anytime save is a
ファイヤー
save.
の強化されます。このように弾の色が白くなります。さらに敵に着弾すると弾が
And there's Keith
飛
again.
んでいってくれて、さらにその分裂
Go
した
ahead.
弾が
So now you see the magic is even more
かなり強
explosive.
力な性能になります。ちょっとロードかな、これは。
The new accessory just picked up.
The Falcon Idol,
ここから
which we're
最後
going
の
to
レベ
need
リング
for
に
the
来るん
future
ですけど
here.
ここが本 RTA 圧倒的最難関の場所になります。というの
And
も
here we've got another grinding session on because we've got another boss coming up.
かなり事故りやすいボスになってて
But we're going to swing over here real quick to the Palace of Goddess because
このね
mostly picking up another teleport
被弾を
spot.
抑えるのめちゃくちゃ難しいです。倒す敵としてはこの黄色い騎士のような敵と紫色の魔導士のような敵なんですけど、この紫色の魔導士の敵が厄介でして、なんとファイヤーの魔法無効化されてしまいます。でさらに遠距離
So
攻
it's
撃
kind of funny the various different ways that the bump combat has been referred to over the years. I believe Falcom themselves have likened it to popping bubble wrap.
道が狭い上にですね
And one thing that we in the speedrunning community have affectionately referred to these games as is bumper car simulator, because you're just running around bumping into things. So he took more damage there than he wanted to.
Yeah, we need to preserve all the HP we can because this next box, at least in my opinion, is the most painful.
さらにきつい。ちょっと HP 削られすぎちゃったかな。まあ、あまりにも体力削られすぎてしまったら一回回復に戻
Took
る
another hit in there, so
あるんですが
costs a lot of HP.
まあそれをやって
What if
しまう
he's
と
just gonna take a backup heal or something?
しまうので
Or just go for it.
最終手段といったところなんです
Might use one of the herbs because
ちょっとこれ以上は被弾できない。あと一周でレベリング
You say it's the hide glide system. That's fair. Hide glide was kind of like one of the early bump attack games alongside Falcom's other earlier releases like Dragon Slayer.
このレベリングですね。まあ練習
If you've ever played Xanadu or its variations like Fact Xanadu and Legacy of the Wizard, aka Dragon Slayer 4 Drazel family. Those are side scrollers, but yeah, there's like the combat of a lot of early Falcom games is rather primitive. It isn't until I think East 3 they added an attack button, and then East 4 they went back to bump. The very first like East game that I think is kind of like the prototype of the modern mold was East 5 for Super Famicom, which sadly we never got. The only East we ever got between 3 and 6, but the only East. If we got 1 for Sega Master System, we got 3 for SNES, Genesis, and PC Engine. We did eventually get 1 and 2 for TurboGrafx, and we didn't get another one until 6, partially because Falcom was kind of like they were on very low finances, so they outsourced East 4 and 5 to another company. It wasn't really until the 21st century when like we got East 6 and games like East 1 and 2 complete that they started like kind of rebuilding their brand and games and whatnot.
So here we are. Yep, Zava, who, as I said, is, at least to me, the biggest pain in the rear end. Just because Zava herself is actually invincible right now, we have to deal with these bats who are shooting at us and bouncing all over the place. And you can't really run into them because you will take damage. I'm not sure if they can actually be hit, so we've just gotta blast them with magic. And since we're
turning this game into a Danmaku, as you mentioned.
It's just really fun bouncing around, trying to throw magic at them while avoiding them. And as you can see, the bats are slowly multiplying, but once we get through this phase, Zava herself will become active, and fortunately, she's kind of a pushover, so we can survive this without taking another hit. Probably should be fine.
ファイヤーでダメージを与えていきます。さあ1体倒した。いいですね。さああと2体かな。さあ本体戦始まりました。本体は常にこの弾幕を放ってくるので、うまくかわしながらファイヤーを叩き込んでいきます。
I even heard the word Danmaku out of one of the commentary.
これ結構噛み合うとどうしようもない被弾があるので、危なかったんですが見
Alright,
事
that's
に
Zava down, so.
いやここね結構不安ポイント。
Now up to level 46.
素晴らしいです。
And this is Maria, who we kind of saw alluded to back in our flashback earlier. She's the girl that Sada, that Knightly Fellow, is trying to save. But she's kind of in line to be sacrificed, so we're going to try to climb to the top of this tower and prevent that.
この鐘付き堂の鐘が5回鳴ることで儀式が完了して処刑されてしまうということで、アドル君儀式を止めるために急いで鐘付き堂を登っていきます。こう登っている途中にですね、何度目の鐘が鳴り響いたと、プレイヤーを今2つ目ですね、プレイヤーを焦らせてくるんですけど、
And as you can see, there's a text box that alluded to, not sure what it says exactly, but there's definitely alluding to the ringing of a bell. It has now been run 3 times.
Yeah, basically the sacrifice is after it rings a certain amount of times. That's kind of the race that we were against.
Yep, 5 times, and now it's 4 times, and Dallas.
間に合ったかと思いきやそこにはダレスさんがいました。さあここでダレスさんによって最後の5回目の鐘が鳴らされてしまいます。
Bing bong, we are too late.
儀式が完了してしまいました。 残念ながら間に合わなかったと。 ちなみになんですけど、なんで魔物がこのイースの地で人をさらって処刑しているのかというとですね。
Oh well, too bad, so sad, Maria.
収めていた
Let's head back down. I think there was like some treasure we passed earlier.
なんですけど、誰が六神官の末裔か分かんなくなっちゃったので、手当たり次第に人をさらっては生贄として捧げるという儀式を繰り返していたということです。関係ない人からしたらね、たまったもんではないですね。 さあこれで宝箱を開けられるようになっているので、
Yeah, no, there's no way you can get there before the 5th toll. Those text boxes come up at predetermined points, so there's no way you're ever going to get there to actually stop it. I'm referring to chat. でちなみにこの女神様なんですけど、前作イース1プレイしたことがあれば、明らかに見たことあると思うんですけど、一旦それは置いておきます。 で黒い真珠ですね、タルフ君持っていたんですけど、今ちょうど遊びに来ているということで、黒い真珠をちょうだいって。 Alright, so here's Tarf here for some reason. He came to visit us and he brought the black pearl with him, but unfortunately he somehow lost it. Yeah. And we need it so we can restore all the folks that have been turned to stone. But fortunately, it seems like it's been found.
フィールドの BGM 変化しています。こちらも神曲です。曲名バトルグラウンドになっています。さあ BGM 変化してですね、いよいよクライマックスが近いということで、じゃあここでザイファさんにね、ラストに向けての意気込みを聞いてみましょう。じゃあザイファさんいかがでしょうか。
そうですね。ちょっとザバ戦
Making one more trip through Solomon's Shrine. There's a lot of backtracking in this dungeon. I wasn't kidding when I said this is half of the game, and a lot of it is just because of how much of it you end up having to go through.
Oh hey, Black Pearl just sitting out there and guarded. This, okay, we're not questioning that.
I think we have the warp to the Palace of the Goddess so we can limit the amount of backtracking.
Yeah, because we got to come here because they will tell us that we can use a black pearl with that statuette we got a few minutes ago, and when we take that to the top of the campanile, we'll be able to use it to free the people from stone form.
Something to mention, still probably haven't seen the East 1 run, but this was sort of a twist, actually. In East 1 and 2, you meet these girls named Rhea and Fina, one of whom you plays a harmonica that purifies things, and the other you just kind of escort and rescue her. Those two actually are like the goddesses in disguise, although they don't quite remember their original goal, and they get that in they relearn who they are in like the span between the two games, but I'm not really sure exactly how.
近づいて話しかけても、返事がないということで、残念ながら救うことができなかったと。今はね、石にされた人たちをね、救うのが優先だということで、頂上を目指して登っていきます。
Once again, climbing this whole section yet again as we go to finally charge after the final boss.
Unfortunately, we get no quick teleports here.
さあ、頂上に着いたら、夢見の石像を使用することで、これでですね、ダレスによって石化してしまった人たちが元に戻ります。さあ、それではね、早速石から戻った人たちの様子を見に行く前に、
Also cool to mention that certain quests you accomplish also give you EXP, so I was able to hit level 47 off of that, and very close to level 48.
Kind of interesting that he's going backwards through the canal here, as opposed to just teleporting to the hideout.
Is he going to pick up the shield now?
I'm not sure. I'm like maybe out of the way. I'm not certain. We shall see.
MP、HP 全回復のアイテムですね。財閥さん攻めチャート使用しているので取らずに進んでいきます。
Oh no, he's going to pick up the
サダさんに話しかけて、
Claria Blade.
マリアさん救うことできませんでしたと伝えると、もう俺がこの剣を持っている必要がない。
Oh, the Clelia sword.
クレリアソードを託されます。
Okay, so he's going for the sword first. Okay.
脱走者たちの隠れ家に向かいます。さあ皆さんですね、無事石化が治ってまして話を聞いていくんですが、
Just having to talk to a whole bunch of NPCs here. At the back here, we'll find Lilia once more.
どこかに行ってしまったようです。
She ended up with this band of goofs.
すごい行動力ですね。でイースシリー
Or
ズ
no, they've taken her away at this point. I know she is in this. I might be misremembering the sequence of things.
She's wandered off somewhere.
As she is wont to do.
As you know, somehow she wandered here somewhere and got kidnapped and brought here to the shrine.
ワンツー含めたイース全体のヒロインはフィーナなのかなと考え。
And here we've gotten a gold pendant, which we're going to use to get to the final area. Somehow these goofballs are going to all share one wing to teleport out.
これ決めれば完璧なんですが、決めました。完璧、モン抜け 100% です。これ本当にすごいです。ちなみに自分はまだ1回も完璧に決めたことはありません。
I think I misspoke actually earlier. It looks like he is getting less EXP over time. Guess that's just East 1.
今作最強の鎧、クレリアアーマー手に入れることができるんです。
And as you said, there are different versions, and sometimes it's hard to keep track between versions.
Yeah, there's different versions do different things and how this all works. Yeah, he's very close to level 48. So get off after this next boss fight. Will be Dallas. This is not the final boss of the game, or I guess Duelist, as he is spelled here.
Romanization is fun.
こう出現すると同時に弾幕攻撃と周囲を展開する岩で攻撃してきます。
So unlike most of the bosses in this game, you actually have to hit Dallas by charging him with your sword.
2回殴れれば OK ですね。
Yeah, Dallas is actually immune to magic, and
オーバードライブというんですけど、
fun fact, we've never mentioned it because it's never really been needed. You can actually walk out of boss rooms, which is kind of important for this one because if you do not have the Claria sword, you can't damage Dallas at all.
効果としては敵の動きを止めてその間に一方的に攻撃できるという強力な魔法なんですが、このダレス戦でタイマーストップの魔法を使うとですね、
It is also something I think almost everyone who has played or even ran these games have done by accident, where they just leave, they run out of the arena, not intending to, and then that forces a restart against the boss,
ぜひ試してみてほしいです。といった
which is not great when you've already lost 2/3 of your health.
でしかしこちらちょっと受けてしまっていますね。さあ3ヒット決めていく。さあ HP 残り68、これはかなりギリギリの接戦。
Thought the screen froze for a second there, but then just nothing happened.
一発一発が非常に大きいのでダメージを受けていい回数少ないんですが、危ない、避けていく。ダレスにダメージを与えた後の隕石ね、動きが結構不規則なので
Classic East 1 and 2 experience of boss that likes to disappear on you
あと1ターンか2
and
ターン。
leave you with very limited windows to hit him.
ああ、ぶつかるか、それ。
Ooh, this is gonna be close. Nope, we still have herbs.
まあさすがに
All right, go ahead. Please pop the herb.
攻めるか。
Oh no, we made it herbaless.
攻める。回復なし撃破、素晴らしい。
And here we've got the last. Go ahead.
As soon as he clears the boss, go straight into the warp to keep advancing the game. So, yep. Now it hits level 49.
And we have the last magic of the game, shield magic.
さてイース中枢へ入っていくんですが、
Yeah, so the last boss is also immune to magic.
が先にいます。
So rather than worrying about your fireballs, you want to use your shield, which effectively gives you an entire second health bar.
生贄の儀式で犠牲になってしまっ
Oh, and as you kind of might have seen there, that was Maria. Maria's just
それを壊して
fine.
キースが登場します。何でもありですね。そして挙句の果てにこの先のマップ。なんと
So
門
he's
番
got out the herbs in case he absolutely needs them. But yeah, here we're going into the final boss fight of the game.
Oh, there's Lilia. Why'd you wander off all the way
この
here?
場所に来れているんだという感じなんですけど、まあ一応ね、まあちゃんとした説明あるんですけど、それ説明してるとちょっと時間なくなっちゃうので、もしね気になる方はですね。
She does the first useful thing she's done all playthrough and gets us a useful
だ
item.
から女神の指輪というアイテムをもらって、
Oh, isn't that just pleasant? Oh, hey, this whole room seems a bit
ラ
familiar.
スボスのダームが登場します。このダームなんですけど、魔の根源という存
Here, the goddesses are
この地に魔物
needed to open the door to fighting the final boss and defeat Dallas once and for all. He has become Darm Fact, which shares the name with Darm Tower of the final dungeon of the first game, and of East Origin, which is the entire game.
これ名曲ですね。
So playing Rhea's silver harmonica.
Which will free our goddess friends.
さあ銀のハーモニカ吹くことで女神様を呪いから解放します。でイース1、2とですね、ここまでプレイしていたらまあとっくに分かってるよって感じな方も多いと思うんですけど、実は女神様の正体はフィーナとレアだったということが、まあここで物語上では初めて明かされます。さあそれでまあちょっとね、ちょっと薬草が3個余っているので、まあ、ちょっとねおまけ要素として
Oh, I guess we're going to gift her the. Yeah, this is the thing you can do in this game. You can actually gift items to certain people,
さあフィーナとレア
raise their affection for you.
ダームに対抗するため
Is he just doing it to be a Chad?
I think he's just doing it to, gotta hit on the goddesses before we go out evil.
But why Rhea? We all know Fina's the better.
He's made his choice,
Or is that what gave him the experience, or does that happen automatically?
That just happens automatically. I mean, you get experience from after talking to them because they fill you with power.
シールドの魔法なんですけど、使用中無敵になるという魔法で、その代わり
Going into the fight with the Rue, just I think Xipha's just flexing. That's hilarious. I love a runner who can style a little bit. So yeah, the shield is just taking the damage for him. There's so much that goes on in this particular fight. Like, it is not free even with shield magic, but it is so much more miserable without it.
で運が悪いとちょっと攻撃できないところでそのダームの位置固定されてしまうことあるんですけど、ちょっと何やってるんだとダームが左上に持って出てきません。
East Origin and East 1 and East 2 final bosses are wont to do, just kind of fly off of the stage and become untargetable.
And what's happening Phase 2, yeah.
バトル君がダメージを与えることのできる場所がですね、かなり小さくなる上に攻撃苛烈になります。激しい弾幕や
Trying to avoid the laser beams.
And what's happening there with those the rings is that's an effect of the goddess ring we got from Lilia. It'll basically bind Black Pearl into a spot for a few seconds, so we can hopefully get some free shots. And time should be coming up here now.
Very well done.
Very nice.
Yeah, Easy definitely minimized the amount of damage that he was taking, so that fight's not super difficult. On higher difficulties, though, like this fight will still shred you.
Like if you do not have that shield magic, it's
it's pretty rough.
はいということで
Alrighty, 111.55, not bad. A lot that can go wrong in this game, and it's like it goes wrong like instantly. So
そうですね。まず今年の RRJ サマーウィンターとこの
like take it from I guess both of us at this point who have run East 1 and 2 like at marathons. There is so much that can go wrong like in an instant. So being able to complete a marathon run under estimate or even like close to estimate, assuming your estimate is like at all tight, is very much not something to take for granted.
満足です。本当にありがとうございます。
So yep, I guess the usual thing that we do at the end of these is shoutouts. I mean, as the admin of the East community, shoutouts to Xipha. Definitely been the last few years have been quite a surge of like Japanese runners who've been really taking off with a lot of these games. East 10, we had the reign of Ame. We had Nazuna and Harumaki just dominating the PC games. Xipha has been taking it out of these two. Zwire taking it out of East 8 and 9. Like, the past couple of years have definitely been like a kind of reign of dominance of the Japanese community coming in, taking over a lot of the top spots. Also, because it was mentioned in chat, we have to shout out Mabo, who has become I'm not sure how much of it is stuff he finds and just how much that he reports on, but he generally has been somebody who's kind of come forth with like, hey, I just found this new thing that breaks this game wide open. So
Mabo is definitely a champ.
Yeah, there's not been a ton of new stuff found for these games. They've been a little bit more set in place, but every East game has like it's a pretty fast series of action RPG speedruns, and most of the games in the series have records between literally 20 seconds and an hour and a half. I think East 5 is currently the only one that's longer than an hour and a half.
Technically, East 4 Dawn is about...
Alright.
Yeah.
The remake of East 4, Salsetta, is like 27 minutes.
Oh, Salsetta. I mean...
that's my baby right there. The things you do to that game are not okay. This is one of those games where it's like every holy grail skip has basically been found for it at this point. Like there's one more that we have like theorized could make it a few minutes quicker, but that's about
それ
it.
ではこれでイース2クロニクルズのお時間の方を締めさせていただきたいと思います。
Also, shout out to Sonori. I don't know that he has like I think record in like 1 or 2 East Origin categories, but he's also just been a consistent member of the community for a while.
はい、それではいきますよ。
No.
イースはイースでありがとうございました。
You see the copies of the East games and 2 different versions of Adel on the webcam there. Alrighty, so we got one more run coming up. Don't go anywhere. We aren't. So James and I will be guiding you through this last run of Super Metroid.
Reverse boss order,
Yeah.
so stick around.
Yeah, once again, this is English Speedrun Restreams and our English language restream of RTA in Japan. Like they said, there is one more run, Super Metroid. We will take a quick break before getting to that, though, so stick around. We'll get back to that final run of the event. See you soon.